It's Wednesday, June 4th, 2014. Ready to convene the meeting of the Urban Renewal Commission and take roll call.
Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Benville.
Here.
Commissioner Neely.
Here.
Commissioner Mum.
Here.
Commissioner Roth.
Here.
Commissioner Mengelberg. And Chair Polly.
Here. Thank you. Are there any citizen comments? Come on, Jonathan.
Come on, Jonathan.
Come up with something.
The same thing. Okay. Hearing there are no citizen comments, we'll move on to adoption of the agenda. Is there any reason or anything?
Yeah, I will want the agenda item pulled for a brief discussion.
Okay.
Which agenda item?
Well, the only one there, 14313, commercial brokerage services
Okay.
for urban renewal infill properties.
Okay.
Okay, good. Well, that'd be good to discuss that. Okay, moving on to 13400, amendment to intergovernmental agreement to extend the term of City Hall remodel loan for an additional 5 years. Staff report.
Thank you, Chair Pauly and members of the Urban Renewal Commission. So this item is an amendment to an agreement between the Urban Renewal Commission and the City of Oregon City to extend an existing loan for an additional 5 years. To provide some brief background information, the Urban Renewal Commission borrowed $1.9 million from the city in 2009, about 5 years ago, and the funds were used to remodel this city hall that we're sitting in right now. The original loan is set to expire in August, and we have an option to renew for an additional 5 years. The Finance Department's recommending that we move forward with this renewal because the Urban Renewal Commission, as a result of being a function of debt capacity and future increment payments, has a couple of other loans outstanding with external parties, and those loans have covenants that require a set aside of reserves. So in order to be compliant with our cash flow reserves, extending this loan with the city, which has a better interest rate, will allow us to meet all of those covenants without exception. So it's sort of an administrative function, but staff is recommending that we approve the extension. Happy to entertain any questions.
Are we making payments on this loan, or is it just a balloon at 5 years, or what?
We will in the future. So the past loan had been interest only, and in terms of the agreement, what I'm proposing for moving forward in the next 5 years is that we make 5 annual equal in payments of principal. And we can do that, yeah, and still meet our requirements.
Mayor Neely, I have you on the screen.
I don't know how it happened, but I had a question, so that's good. The I guess the question is that this is strictly for the purpose of protecting our credit, basically. I assume so. Is the intent over the next 5 years to pay off the loan in that period of time?
That is correct. So we'll make five payments of principal, and in the 10th year, the loan will be paid off.
Okay.
Commissioner Munn?
This is a 5-year extension.
Correct.
So is there more extensions? Because I don't like extensions. So let's just make it a 5-year extension and then we're done? Or are you going to come back in 5 years and say, I need another 5 years?
Nope, this will be the last extension.
Okay.
We want it paid off before we leave this place.
So
That is our goal.
I have a question too. So originally it was written for 5 years. Why was it just written for half of the term of the loan and not the whole loan? I mean, I kind of want to know the background story for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, Chair. And I wasn't here at the time. I think there was some, back when that was put into place, we were just entering into the economic downturn. There could have been some different impacts based on the actions of the Urban Renewal Commission and development coming in. So let's say that there had been a huge development that came in and generated a lot of tax increment, just whammy right in 2010, then there's always the potential that we could have paid this off. So it's quite possible that this commission had the foresight to say, well, let's consider 5 years, assuming everything goes perfect, and then if the economy's a little slower than we think, we'll grant ourselves the ability to extend for another 5 years. That would be my best guess.
Okay, great. I was thinking maybe it was something like that, hoping to pay it off in one lump sum after. So,
Yeah, I think you're right.
any other questions? Okay, then we need to move to extend it.
I move to extend the loan for additional 5 years for the For the library, excuse me, for the
For the library.
for the
We'll
for
be
the
back
city,
with that
for the
one
city
in a
loan
couple
taken by
months.
the Urban Renewal Agency.
Push the button, Doug.
Can you press your buttons?
You got to press your buttons.
Press my button.
I second that motion.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. And should we talk about the one that we pulled?
Yeah.
Okay, 14-313, commercial brokerage services for urban renewal infill properties.
It probably isn't an issue, but and I mentioned to Mr. Underwood that I was going to bring this up. The four properties he mentions, two of them are actually city-owned properties,
Right.
not urban
Right.
renewal agency properties. And I had them thinking for a while, but I think the argument you'll put forward is it's not really related to the ownership of the property.
Right. Yeah, I had to go back to the archives there and see what we did before when I was granted authorization to market those properties. All the properties are within the urban renewal district, and the marketing efforts and budget is coming out of the urban renewal fund. So we're allowed in the urban renewal district to market and infill properties, vacant properties, or properties slated for development, as long as they're publicly owned. It doesn't matter what name is on the deed, because in the end, when the properties are sold, they will go back. The taxes will go back to the city. So basically, I think all that needs to happen is that the Urban Renewal Commission give me authorization to dispose of those properties. I mean, that's what happened before. They gave me the commission gave me the authorization to dispose of those properties and market those properties. So
Okay.
I was going to suggest just to take a look at something. We have Clackamas Landscape Supply leases property from us, and we extended that lease. But I think we also own the property between them and the Metro Transfer Station, don't we?
the Stimson property, that is owned by the city. And there was a request early on to transfer that ownership over to the Urban Renewal Commission.
And we didn't do that,
We
as I
didn't do
recall.
that, yeah.
But my question is, I think there's some of that, it's in the Urban Renewal
Right.
Agency boundaries, and I think the land between the leased property there and the Metro Transfer Station is also part of our ownership, or is it?
I'd have to go back and check and see.
I don't know if there's any reason to pursue that at this time, absent any other kind of development going on there, but.
I'm not. I'll have to look at that and see if it's even developable. I'm not sure if it is.
It's in the floodplain. A good portion of it's in the
Yeah,
floodplain.
yeah. I know there's some issues in that area that made the Stimson property not developable. So I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look and see.
Okay, it looks like there's some other questions too. One that I had is, since we're entering into an agreement with the broker,
Right.
is it only going to be to those 3 properties, or are we going to look at others, maybe reaching out to lot owners with underutilized buildings or areas, that could have reuse, kind of along the line of what Mayor Neely was saying? Are we going to use him to kind of extend that look?
Well, we could modify the contract. Right now, the RFP went out to market the properties that I've been specifically marketing, the ones that are listed in there. So that's what's included in this scope, and that would be a 12-month term. If we decide we want to do that, I'm sure he'd be happy to.
I'm sure he would be happy to do more for more money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Commissioner Smith?
Well, my memories, I'm trying to remember when we authorized this, but my memory is more that it was, to market these properties, and that, just to kind of feel out what opportunities might be out there, and then that would come back to us. The way it sounds, market and dispose, I don't remember that being part of our discussion, but maybe it was. I was okay with it very much so at the time, to definitely look at marketing these properties. One, because I think it's the best thing to do with infill property that is redevelopable. However, some discussion has been made about at our recent city commission meetings and over the past couple years about the lot near Clackamas Park. I have a little bit of concerns with selling any property. I had no concerns about kind of marketing that and seeing, if it would bring something. But at the time that we were doing that, I don't know that that's a city property too, right? I don't know if we had any discussion from PRAC about that during that time. I don't think we did. But one of the things that concerns me is with the new construction in that area, the Cove development, and just the way that we haven't always utilized our riverfront space to the best degree, and knowing that there's a master plan for Clackamas Park that's evolving or might evolve in the future. I think and the question of whether or not we're going to have a boat ramp reinstalled or not, there's a lot of questions around Clackamas Park and what the future of that park is going to look like. And I'm not opposed to selling that property if it's done in a way that fits with what we want to see happen with the park and is really thought out. But at the same time, I don't just want to see it sold and not really have that discussion with PRAC and everyone else, because I think that the argument could very much be made that that's part of the park. I know on paper, legally, it doesn't fit our description as a charter park, but prior to it being a parking lot, it was a training facility for the fire department,
Yes.
I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can remember that. And part of, I guess, the other piece was part of the sewer treatment plant.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's been in public ownership for a long time, and since it has been stopped being used as a fire training facility, it's really been a park space. So I don't know that I'm really comfortable fully going through with that unless maybe we double check with PRAC and have that discussion. That's my personal opinion. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but that I'll just have a discussion maybe about that really quick before we.
Well, I understand what you're saying. Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's like the 10th and Main property, too. It would be a great little pocket park, parts of it. And once it's gone, it's gone. And I think that, we really need to look at the big picture and the overall, planning and what's going to benefit the district the most, not just the particular lot. Commissioner Roth?
Yeah, I have a couple questions and comments. Has it been with a broker recently?
No.
It hasn't. So we've just been doing it in the Journal of Commerce and those kind of things, or?
Right, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and has there been much interest or?
Recently, there have been a couple of groups who have been interested in the 10th and Main property. I also received a call today about the Clackamas Park, the Clackamas Drive property, from another realtor who has a client that's interested in developing that property. But mostly, other than these past couple of weeks, these past few meetings that I've had, I feel like they're a little more solid than the meetings that I've had with other potentials that were out there. They're mostly tire kickers, I think. The reason that I'm looking at handing this over to a broker is because they will be concentrating on this all day, every day, and they'll be able to generate a list of prospects for the property. That was attempted by staff through advertising and so forth, but they have other channels that I don't have access to that would probably get the properties developed a lot faster. And I know when I first came in, the commission was that was one of their high priorities, and it's in the urban renewal work plan, is to get those properties developed. And that's kind of what I meant by disposition, marketing disposition. I took that, the term develop, get the properties redeveloped as that. So,
Well, there's in the staff report, there's a term here, public sector discount of 25%. Can
Right.
you explain that?
sure. He offers regular private sector, say an attorney, if if they had a private client, there'd be a certain rate. But since we're public sector, he's just giving us a break. I guess they have a policy where they give public sector public agencies a discount.
So do we pay the 5% and then he takes 25% off the 5%, or?
That is so the rate, the commission rate is just 5%. The 25% is any extra services that we would contract for like project management or something
Okay.
like that. Then he would take the 25%. That would be negotiated before a contract was signed. So
And the last comment is, the 10th and Main property, I think part of the problem with dealing in that or showing that is the way that it looks.
Mhm.
And I know that Jerry Herman had offered some kind of service to spruce it up and make it. I just think that would be a really good investment for us to do,
right.
just
Well-
even at a minimal basis so that it looked better.
I've been talking with a landscape company. They've recently submitted a proposal to do the front and the corner of that property, about 10 feet in from the sidewalk, the entire width of Main Street, the frontage, and then just maybe about 5-6 feet on the 10th Street frontage. A few
And
trees.
about the part up against the building?
No, but we're going to add a few trees to kind of give it some height and block that off a little. Some other greenery and some topsoil mulch, that sort of thing. So something that looks nicer, but is also very temporary. That could be easily taken out if a
Not
developer came in.
expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mayor Neely?
I really shared Commissioner Smith's concern about the fact that that is frequently used for events down there for parking. It may be, since whatever they do there has to structurally be out of the floodplain one way or another, it may, there may be parking opportunities that we can avail ourselves of from whoever does it. But I think when the marketing's done, I think probably the interest of having some public parking under there should probably be taken into account.
Absolutely. That can certainly be communicated to the broker. We can even request that the broker come and present the client or the potential use, once he does have somebody, to the commission to talk about the potential development out there. It's not like, we would be just relinquishing all control of the properties by giving it over, but they've put it in their proposal that they plan to stay in constant communication with us about any prospect that they have.
The other thing I had was the other piece of property. I think it's one plotted lot, but with McDonald's, I think, has a legal easement through there. And whether, in terms of the marketing, whether the potential can be, if McDonald's, for example, didn't want to ever give up that easement, if the potential for connecting two buildings over the easement might be a possibility too. I don't know if the easement goes up in any elevation or not.
Ma'am, I'm not sure.
You're talking about the same side of the McDonald's? It's the
This-
piece north of McDonald's.
I'm talking on the other side now.
Is that the piece we're talking about?
Well, they're both on there, I think.
Yeah,
Both pieces are on there.
Oh, I understood it
Yeah.
was the north piece.
Yeah, both the south piece and the north piece
Right.
are on there.
Right.
And it might have better market opportunities if they could connect the structures or something. Or whether McDonald's would be interested in giving up that easement, because I don't know that many people use it. I'm not sure why the city surrendered it to begin with.
Right. Well, that's part of what the broker will be doing for us is the property research, and he'll be able to determine the easements, and he could bring back that information, and we can decide what we want to do. And, we could authorize him to talk to McDonald's about that if we want. So that's a possibility.
So that's what you do. What happens to you when you put something on the agenda item and we don't have much? We have too much time. We got to talk about that. So we got to pull me off the agenda. Make it worth our while.
Commissioner Benville?
Yes, a couple things. One point of clarification. It mentions 12th and Main Street, but the conversation here has been the 10th and Main Street. Are we talking about the same thing here?
No, it's
So
two different lots.
it's a site.
Little lot across from Dutch Brothers.
Okay. But it's not the one that's in question in this one, right? We're trying to look at 12th and Main.
Well, they have that's on
Yeah,
there too.
that's on there.
Yeah, the
too.
12th and Main is, but not the 10th and
No.
Main.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It's the 931.
922.
Oh,
That's
that
the
is the
main.
10th and Main?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then the other thing is that, I agree with Commissioner Smith as well, but I think we can do it through the process of when someone wants to buy it, they present their presentation of what their vision and what they plan to do it. I mean, we don't have to sell it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we
That's right.
can look at it in that
Right, and I
process.
think-
I think
Yes,
the best
exactly.
thing is to hook up with
Right.
Collier. They, maybe meet with them so they clearly understand what our visions are for the property. It's clearly zoned for particular commercial, so we only have a certain amount of control there. But I think we do it through that process.
Yeah. So I agree. We just wait to see what proposal comes in, what type of development they want to put out there, and then we will work with them to. It's like I said, it's not relinquishing control. We'll have say.
We
And,
don't
we'll
lowest
still
for the
have-
highest price.
Yeah,
It
and I think
doesn't meet
that's-
the vision.
Yeah.
Right, and we all want what's best for our city.
I think that's why I supported moving forward with those properties, because I felt that way. That the wording on this didn't quite say that, so I wanted to just bring that up. I don't think there's going to be really any problem. Well, I should never say that. I think the one of the properties that concerns me the most is that Clackamas Park one, and I think that there are ways of dealing with the parking, because you're probably not going to be building on that floodplain. I mean, there's a lot of ways to deal with that, but I just want that kind of thought through, and I think that when we get to a project that comes forward, or a potential project that comes forward, I think that if it gets to a point where we're really looking at developing that lot, or discussing the sale of that property, I think the Parks and Recreation, or I think PrAC needs to be involved in that discussion a little bit too, because I don't think they ever were when we kind of went forward. So I would like to see that happen, just because I think, it could be a year from now that anyone says something about that property. It could be 5 years from now, and in 5 years we might have a new boat ramp, or we might not have a boat ramp at all. And there's a lot of things that can change in that area. So
I'm actually thankful that Mayor pulled this off consent, because now I
right.
have some things to take to the broker at our initial meeting. I can convey some of your desires for that property.
And I agree with Commissioner Smith. I think that it's important that we have a dialogue with the Parks Committee, because they may, if they feel that they're in danger of losing parking there, they may want to look at increasing parking at the park somehow, or putting that into their goals. So, Commissioner Munn.
Do we? At one point, we talked that we had somebody that was looking at 12th and Main,
All right.
and did that
Yeah.
fall apart?
It did.
Or it did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, does that finish up this?
Do we need to make a motion or approve it, or?
Yes.
we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we need to make a motion for the consent agenda.
Well, it's not.
Well,
it's
so
we
we
have
have
to-
to-
Hold
did
it,
that.
it's being separate.
So I move to approve staff's recommendation to a contract with Collier for commercial brokerage service for their urban renewal infill properties.
Second.
Second. I already seconded.
You already seconded.
Okay, and the consent agenda for the minutes, is that approved?
We got to vote
Well,
on
we
this.
have to vote
Yeah,
on
we
it.
need
Oh,
to-
sorry.
It's not on there yet.
Let's show
Don't
us.
know why this does this.
We're having technical.
I was waiting for the visual
difficulties.
cue there.
Sorry, one more. Let me try
You
one
can touch
more.
it.
There we go.
There we go.
Who pressed
Good
first?
job.
Okay. Every once in a while, it gives me trouble.
I didn't make the motion, but somehow I canceled you out. Like,
No, no.
Oh,
No, it was
You
Derek.
canceled out Derek.
oh,
Yeah, it was
I
Derek.
canceled
Oh,
out
real
Derek.
good, Doug.
Yeah, how nice, Doug.
How did you do that?
He's
Um,
the man.
I'll fix it. It was moved by Derek,
Yeah,
Benville,
job.
and second by Commissioner Roth.
Yes, that's
Very
correct.
Okay. And now we move to the minutes, is that right?
Move to
Yes.
approve the minutes.
I second that.
And motion passes unanimously.
Great. Moving on to future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items? Okay, there was one that I wanted to discuss. It's only June.
No, really?
but soon, I mean, I'm already thinking about goals, the commission goals, and perhaps looking at the urban renewal goals. And I've got the work plan here, and I've got the urban renewal plan that was written a long time ago here. And I was wondering if anybody feels that we need to kind of look at those, and because if you read the plan, it gives the impression more of property acquisition. And we haven't talked so much about that. So I was wondering how the commission felt about re-looking at that and just making sure it's all updated going into the new year, and that we're all comfortable with it, and that we all know it inside and out, that everybody has a copy of this, and that we're all on the same page.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Even though I won't be any part of the goal making.
I think that's a great idea.
Came from Rob.
Was kidding, Joe.
So it sounds like that's consensus to have that as a
Yes.
future agenda item. Okay, great. And moving on to city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There has been some recent communications with the developer at the Cove regarding the Boley situation, and Eric had a conversation, I believe, today with them, and so I was going to ask Eric to update you on that conversation.
Yes, thanks, David. Yeah, so as you know, we've got the DDA active right now, and they're trying to meet the preconditions. They've had a kind of a hang-up with Boley, and the Urban Renewal Commission has granted them an extension to meet the preconditions for the DDA. We've since gotten a reappraisal for the Urban Renewal property and have submitted that to the developer, who have subsequently submitted that to Boley. They've been reviewing it. So that's kind of what we've been waiting on. The developer contacted Boley today and said that they don't have a decision yet. There are other people involved during this round, and they will either have something for Ed and Randy by the end of next week or the following week. And so that kind of sets us back a little bit more.
Yes.
And I don't know if we want to grant them another extension or what we want to do, because we're coming up on the deadline.
I would say let this appeal process go through, but beyond that, no.
Okay.
I mean, I think there was an indication on the part of I think consensus of the Urban Renewal Commission. This was kind of the final take on it for them.
Right.
But they've already requested the extension and they've got it. I would say let it go through that process.
Okay. It's kind of out of their hands right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a Boley
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need to be able to have time to go through that, and then
Yes.
we'll see where we're at.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
So
I agree.
that's where we are with the Cove.
Okay. Is there anything else? All right. That concludes